massive crowd here in Manhattan, jacked up. Set to serve it is Mike Lambert. 2 out of 3 games. First 2 games to 21, third if necessary to 15. And Todd Rogers hits the first ball straight down.
And Rogers coming out immediately, challenging that Lambert block. He's been racking up over 2 blocks per game. But this is exactly what Dalhausser and Rogers want to do. Good pass, perfect set. Don't want to get that set too close to the big Lambert block.
So Todd Rogers, white hat, going backwards today. His partner is got a clean-shaven head, the 6'9" creature at the net. That's Dalhausser. And there he goes. So right off the bat, a stuff for Phil Dalhausser.
He is the tour leader in that category, averaging almost 2.5 per game. And this time, the set almost looked a little too far off for Stein Metzger to get it around and or under Dalhausser's right arm.
2-0 our score. Dalhausser, as you might imagine, one of the great blockers on tour, the best, followed by Lambert and Furbringer. Just the start of game 1. And they're working on Stein Metzger. And Metzger hits it out. So 3 quick points for Rogers and Dalhausser.
Metzger talked about it earlier this year. He started getting every serve having hooked up with Mike Lambert. He's never faced that situation in his life. We call it getting served. And it's at a point where he just playing with such a strong offensive partner, the teams are going to pick on him. He's got to be solid.
Back to Metzger. Dalhausser was there. Metzger and Rogers, pretty good dig, and Phil can't get there. So the first point for Lambert Metzger.
Dalhausser and Rogers, though, setting the tone early by touching every single ball that Metzger has hit so far, either on the block or the defense.
Stein Metzger, a 2004 Olympian with Dax Holgren since they've split up. Here comes Rogers, and Rogers pounds it hard.
Mike Lambert has talked about how Rogers' offense is much of it is inside the 15-foot line. We saw it with that cut shot that hit. It went very sharp, but the other shot he likes to do is down the line, and that also is a short shot. So you have to play a little shorter on defense on Todd Rogers.
One of the big servers on the beach is Dalhausser, and he whips up the ace. Now Dalhausser's a very interesting story. He's only 26. He's a late bloomer. He didn't play volleyball till he was a senior in high school. He was born in Switzerland. Father German, mother Swiss. They moved to Anchorage, Alaska when he was 1. His dad took a job as a chef in Anchorage, Alaska. And then a couple of years later, Dalhausser family moving to Florida. So Dalhausser and Rogers. I'm Chris Marlowe along with Karch Garai, the granddaddy of them all. We have the 2 best teams in beach volleyball. And let's talk about Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert first. They've been playing the best.
Well, they came together. They are so strong. They've been so consistent in making every single Final Four this year, but didn't win in the first 6 events. Won 3 out of the last 4. And the big key for them is Mike Lambert patrolling at the net. First of all, he just delivers monster heat on offense, and that's why he doesn't get very many tries on offense. But he also is averaging over 2 blocks per game patrolling the net. But the reason why they won 3 out of the last 4 is Stein Metzger's offense has gotten a lot stronger. It's the Steino of 05 when he was a strong MVP candidate.
Interestingly, the opposition today, Dalhausser and Rogers, they've won more tournaments. They've won 5 here in the United States, and they just won a huge international tournament in Europe.
Yes, they did, but they're not the leaders in points because they haven't made every single Final Four yet. They were world champions for a weekend, beating the Brazilian gold medalist last year in Austria, coming off a huge confidence-building win.
So Mike Lambert and Stein Metzger battling Phil Dalhausser and Todd Rogers. It's a rematch of Chicago in a match that Lambert and Stein Metzger, they beat Dalhausser and Rogers easily.
Well, Dalhouser and Rogers even said that they feel like there's a lot of camaraderie between all the men. They feel like it's them against the world. The men had not won in over 50 international events until last weekend in Austria when Dalhouser and Rogers took that title. But all the men have been sitting down when they play other opponents internationally and sharing scouting reports and things like that, and they feel like they have the best camaraderie in years, and that is exciting for them going into Beijing in 2 years.
Rogers serves a bit long. That will cost his team a point, so make it 6-3. This is the 7th meeting overall between these two teams, and each squad has won 3 times, so they're even up. Metzger and Lambert, however, winning in Chicago, so they're 1-0 in finals. And Rogers, oh, what a dig by Dynamite.
And this is what Lambert and Metzger have talked about before. You have to play Rogers in the shallower part of the court. Metzger positioning himself perfectly for that dig. He didn't mean it to go over the net and down, but he got his hands on it, and that's the most important thing as a defender.
6-4, Rogers and Dalhouser with the lead. Dalhouser, the big man with the shaved palate, and his partner, Todd Rogers, white hat. Got some snap to him, and he guides it down the line. Let's take a look at the Crocs standings, the overall points for the best teams on the beach. At the end of the year, the team that wins the overall championship will take home the Crocs Cup. And right now, Lambert and Metzger with a shallow lead over Dalhouser and Rogers.
But these two teams clearly distancing themselves from the rest of the field, and clearly the 2 best teams on the tour this year.
Dalhouser, and he whips it out of bounds. Phil Dalhouser has been in 2 finals on NBC and has lost them both. Last year here in Manhattan with Nick Lucena, and of course the Chicago tournament a little bit earlier, a couple of weeks ago. So he's aiming to get his first win, and he goes right over the top.
In fact, he talked about it last year. These are 3-day events, and they had played so well with his teammate Nick Lucena. Played so great on Friday, so great on Saturday. Felt like they really let down on Sunday, so he's hoping to change that and get in the winner's circle, improve on the 2nd place finish from last year.
So Todd Rogers with the jump floater. It's a shorty. Lambert on 2. Boom. Oh, Mike Lambert with the hammer. It's game 1. Rogers and Dalhouser leading 8-6. The Manhattan Beach Open presented by Bud Light. Capacity crowd. Game 1, 11-10. Metzger and Lambert lead. Just a moment ago, Jeff Alzina talking to his team. Listen.
Calling for Steinower for looking for you. Todd's very obvious. He's all the way in the angle when they're blocking lines, or he holds and totally floats middle when he's going to run down the line.
I know where he's going to be now. Especially side out, so I'm just going to challenge him until he gets me back.
High and quick, half arm. High and quick, half arm.
Jeff Alzina has an earpiece in it. Jeff, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, sure.
Are you happy with the start your team has gotten?
With the start here?
Yes.
Yeah, Todd looked like he had a couple answers for our last defensive plan in Chicago, but as the set has come closer to the net, Mike's done a great job of invading Todd's space, and Stein has picked up the rest.
Jeff, this is Karch Kira. Is Mike Lambert still trying to take away that cuff shot down the line for the most part on Rogers?
We are, but maybe not so committed to it. Because I think Todd's a smart player, and Todd knows that we're going to try and take that away now. So we're going to invade the middle of the court a little bit more now.
Hey, Jeff, we heard you say that Dalhouser 0-2 on NBC. You think it'll be easy to make him 0-3?
It'll never be easy. Those guys are a great team, and Phil is a rising star, and he's a great athlete. So we got our work cut out for us.
All right,
but I sure hope it turns out that way.
Very diplomatic. Thank you, Jeff. We'll check back with you a little later.
Thanks, guys.
Hey, Karch, I like it when we do those interviews when you introduce yourself as Karch Karai instead of like, well, it's Karch Jones up here. It's Karch Samuelson.
Good point.
You could just say you're Karch. I don't think there aren't any other Karches, are there? I remember when you used to be known as Crotch Kirby, though.
The volleyball player formerly known as Karch.
Todd Rogers and Phil Dalhouser in blue. Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert in the red.
And that's the shot we were just talking with Coach Alzina about. One of Rogers' favorite shots as he comes more to the middle of the court and then just a half hit. This is a great angle to watch it from. He'll feel the blocker go to his left, and he'll half hit it down the line. Again, a shallower hit. Metzger's got to get over there really fast to try to make that play.
Rogers, who played with Dax Holdren for the first 12 years of his career, and then making a move. Here comes Metzger. And right under Phil Dalhausser.
And you know, you talked about Rogers playing for the first 12 years with Dax Holdren. He played what we call the left side, the side that Dalhausser plays on now. He made a great transition. It's not easy to be a left side player for so long and then switch and become one of the world's best right side players. Certainly one of the greatest right side players on the AVP tour. But he made that transition. Took him probably 4 or 5 months that first season, and he was great, really solid from then on.
13-12 our score. I believe there are only 2 players in the history of beach volleyball that have actually won on the right side and on the left side here at Manhattan. One was Ron Von Hagen, the other was Randy Stoklos. I think there's just 2.
And Rogers has never won here, so he would not be able to accomplish that this year. He's looking for his first, as is Dalhausser.
13-13. And the spike is out of bounds. No, let's see, they may overrule here. Our first referee is Daryl Friesen. It's going to be an argument.
They got to take a closer look at that. The ball mark looks awfully close.
I just want to know if it was the sand or if the ball touched the line.
The line jumps, and the sand will sit. I'll just do it, right?
I think Todd Rogers saying it was good.
How's that mark?
Let's see if we can see on the replay. Too hard to tell from that angle, but there is still a mark in the sand. Ooh.
Did you like to do that as a player, Karch? Go over and check the ball mark? Are you allowed to do that?
And there's the mark.
Looks like it's into me.
That mark looked into me from this far, and the camera gave us an even better shot. Yes, but you are not allowed, if you're on the far side of the net, as Metzger and Lambert are now, they're not allowed to run under and look at that.
But the guys over on that side can go look.
Yeah, and now Rogers has kicked the mark away. He doesn't want anybody looking at that anymore.
14-13 our score. Here comes Rogers. And he guides one down the line. Game 1 of our men's championship final here at Manhattan Beach. We are tied at 14. It's a very close matchup of the 2 best teams on the beach. Along with Karch Karai, Heather Cox, and Mike Dodd, I'm Chris Marlowe. Lambert with a big spike a moment ago. Dalhausser trying to shake off the facial with his partner Todd Rogers. Certainly one of the best rivalries in beach volleyball. And Rogers thumps one through.
And we've had a number of plays here where the serving team has not been able to win a point. That's the sign of a really high level of play, is the score just keeps tying after every 2 serves.
So now Rogers, who played with Sean Scott a year ago. There were 9 of the top 10 teams on the AVP Tour changed partners from a year ago. The only team that stayed together was Casey Jennings and Matt Furbringer. Lambert. Oh, what an up! Todd Rogers, and he jams it through. It's open hand. Did he see it? You're not allowed to open hand dink. Let's listen.
I didn't call it, Todd. I need to confirm with the second referee first. I will call it. I wanted to confirm with the second referee. Saw the same thing. It was late, yes. I apologize. I had to make the right call.
Todd Rogers' heart not in that argument because it was open hand. Explain how that works, Karch.
Well, what happens is Rogers is going to go up here and try to push this ball into the block. But Lambert actually had his arms apart, and there was no block to push into. Once there's no contact with the block, you've made an illegal contact. You can't hit the ball with an open hand unless it jousts right into the block immediately.
One of the differences between indoor volleyball and outdoor. Indoor, that play would have been legal. That would have been a point. So Stein Metzger serving, 19-18. Rogers cut shot, got it. Let's check in with Mike Todd. Mike.
Hey, Chris, Todd Rogers has really settled down the early part of this match. Just like in Chicago, Phil Dalhausser was setting him too close to the net. As long as he's able to keep Todd 3 to 4 feet off the net, he's got the range to get around that big Lambert block and put the ball away. And you can see they're really getting into a good rhythm right now.
19-19 in a game to 21. Dalhausser, this is sometimes where Dalhausser can really crank up his jump serve.
Remember, he got the lucky dribbler off the tape earlier. He might be able to do that again.
Metzger, and Metzger over the top. Metzger hitting with a lot of confidence, not shooting the ball much today. And a chance for Metzger and Lambert. Like the aggressive posture of Metzger today.
Really nicely challenging that block.
So the first game point for Metzger and Lambert. It's 20-19. Dalhausser got it. Phil Dalhausser with a big bop.
Some of the players talk about when Dalhausser comes in without taking a really big jump, you know he's going to hit it softly. That time he took a huge jump and he could hit it anywhere in the court he wanted to. Saw Lambert had gotten out of the way, cranked it down the line.
We're tied at 20. Rogers with a shorty. Phil got a piece. Left-handed. Wow, what a play by Lambert. Rogers puts it away. Sensational rally.
And Lambert a little upset with himself at the end of that rally, letting Rogers hit that shot. Great chase by Lambert in the middle of this play, but now Rogers will show you one of his favorite shots. He's going to slip it past Lambert's left hand, just a soft shot down the line. When he sees it open and there's no digger there, it's an easy put away.
First game point for Rogers and Dalhausser now. Metzger tried for the save. Oh, Rogers, beautiful dig. Dalhausser, and it's tipped over. Lambert. Rogers for the win. He's got it. Wow.
Well, the key to this play, Rogers, the key to this game is he really settled down offensively, and here making a great play in transition. When you have the opportunity to close out a game against a great Lambert and Metzger team, you want to do it the first time, and Rogers did so.
13 ties in game one, and a frustrated Stein Metzger. We're coming back. Rogers and Dalhausser leading 1-0. Manhattan Beach Open presented by Bud Light. Phil Dalhausser battling through a couple of facials. The ball hit him in the face twice. He got cut. The sunglasses came off. Irate after the play. Arms a little too wide on the attempted block, and then getting patched up in the 10th in between games.
Getting a couple little butterfly things tabbed across there, which is X marks the spot. He's got to put his arms a little closer. He's putting himself in a great position to block, but no amount of padding on his sunglasses can protect when it comes that hard and hits him on the bridge of the nose 3 times now.
We start game 3. It may be a fast one. It's right to 15 points. Chris Marlowe, Karch Garai, Mike Dodd, Heather Cox with you from Manhattan Beach. The most prestigious tournament title on tour. Let's go down to Mike Dodd for an update on Phil. Mike.
Hey, Chris, Phil just had a very slight cut on the bridge of his nose. They put a couple strips on it. It's all closed up. Shouldn't be any problem at all.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Dalhausser on the run. Rogers with a spectacular dig. Lambert. And Lambert cuts it inside. from the other camp, let's hear from Heather Cox. Heather.
Well, guys, Mike Lambert is typically very unemotional until now. Between games 2 and 3, he was yelling to Stein Metzger, "This is your beach," then saying it's 10 minutes out of our life. Let's make these 10 minutes last a lifetime. From a strategy standpoint, they both said they will throw Phil a bone every now and then, meaning they will serve him once in a while. They want to get into his head. Here they go. They said he's never won Manhattan, never won on NBC. Let's rattle him. So far, he's handling the pressure.
Dalhouser goes right up over the top. Thank you, Heather.
And Metzger talked about it earlier today, having moved to Manhattan here. He gets to ride his bike here, got a lot of friends and family to cheer him on. Won here last year, but this would be the most special one to him, winning with his childhood buddy, Mike Lambert.
Todd Rogers has never won at Manhattan, despite 18 wins. It's be a big day for both of them. Rogers is there. Todd Rogers couldn't get a lot of wood on it. Lambert retrieves it. And down the line he goes. Good call by Stein Metzger. You can hear it in line. Linea.
And Lambert doesn't get that many chances on offense, but he's really picking his spots well. Look at how he winds up, and it looks just like he's going to crush the ball again like he did off Dalhouser's face before. That time with the soft shot down the line, it's so hard as a defender. You're so dug in for the hard heat and then have to chase down that soft shot. Really mixing up his shots well today. Very well played final. I think the best played final so far this year.
The 2004 MVP, Mike Lambert. He'll serve Dalhouser. And Dalhouser with the tappy right over the top. We're in the third and final game here. Rogers and Dalhouser won game 1. Metzger and Lambert turning it around and returning the favor in game 2. So we're tied at 1 game apiece. Third and final game for the championship. Dalhouser and Rogers in the blue trunks. Lambert and Metzger in red. And if you missed it, you got here late. The 2 best teams on the men's division by far. It's really been a battle.
Splitting 2 very close games. The first game, and again tied at every stage so far in this game 3, as it was in game 2, tied at almost every score.
3-3. Rogers, and he hit it out. So Lambert on the line, waiting and forcing Rogers wide.
If Rogers hits it any farther inside the court, it's going to go into the block of Lambert. So Lambert positioned himself perfectly. Rogers, a very rare miss. He's really consistent with that shot.
Stein Metzger. 4-3 lead. And that's the one. That's Rogers' favorite shot, that line, that little loopy line.
And he says never twice. He rarely misses that one, right back to his consistency. And again, the score is tied. Tied at 1s, 2s, 3s, and now 4s.
So now, one of the big fans of Led Zeppelin is back to serve. Phil Dalhouser at 6'9", ready to unload. Metzger. And his dig is going wide. So Stein Metzger really hitting with authority. Metzger's won 2 Manhattan Beach Opens. In 2001, he won with Kevin Wong here. And then last year with Jake Gibb.
And I think for Dalhouser and Rogers to win this match, Dalhouser is going to have to take more control of the net. He only had 1 block early in game 1. He hasn't gotten any. He's gotten off his dome and his nose a few times, but he's got to block that ball down.
5-4 in game 3. Rogers with a sharp, spanky ankle. Game 3, 5-5 in the Manhattan Beach Open final. AVP Crocs Tour rocking this season. This is event number 11 and the big granddaddy of them all, Manhattan Beach. We're in the midst of our men's championship final. Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert in red, leading 6-5 over Phil Dalhouser and Todd Rogers. Rogers and Dalhouser have won 5 AVP events this season. Lambert and Metzger 3. So the Crocs AVP Cup in terms of points still up for grabs. That's the season-ending coronation.
But both these teams have opened a sizable lead on the rest of their competition, so it really should be a battle these last 4 events between these 2 teams for the Crocs Cup.
Rogers tapping over the top.
Give a lot of credit to Metzger and Rogers, one on each team, receiving most of the serves and handling the big blocks of Lambert and Dalhausser very well. Very effective on offense, not giving the other teams scoring opportunities.
Dalhausser set to serve it, 6-6 tie. Great serve, look out, below! And Dalhausser, a 1-2 punch. One of the very few times you'll see that. Don't forget, AVP Brooklyn next weekend, 2-day coverage. It's presented by Cushman and Wakefield. Be on the air at 1:30 Pacific time, 4:30 Eastern. Both the men's and women's finals. Misty May and Kerry Walsh going up against maybe the new team of Nicole Branna and Elaine Youngs. Can't wait to see that. And maybe these two teams back in the final. They played each other twice this year in finals in Chicago and Hermosa, and they've split.
But Elaine Young's looking for more firepower. The rookie of the year last year, Nicole Branna. Should be an interesting squad. A lot of offense. Not sure how much defense they'll have.
7-7 our score. Who was it that said you don't need defense if you've got a great offense? There's Paul Westhead, Mike Martz, one of those guys. We're midway through the third and final game. Rogers and Dalhausser by 1. The Manhattan Beach Open presented by Bud Light. Our championship final, we're in game 3. There have been 8 ties, 3 lead changes. It's a game to 15. We're at 10-10.
And Coach Alzina talked about throwing a bone once in a while to Dalhausser. This time they go back to Rogers.
Great bump set. Rogers got it. And Metzger thought it was out.
That mark is clearly in.
What a shot by Todd Rogers. And the set by Dalhausser pretty good too, huh, Kirch?
A back bump set gets it right there. Metzger mad at himself for letting that ball go. He had it lined up. But to me, it looked like the mark was in. And it hit the tape on the way out. Even if the mark is out, that's still in if it hits the tape on the way out.
11-10 our score in game 3.
And there you can see the mark. Some sand even kicked back from the ball where it landed right over the tape.
For an update, let's go down to Heather.
Very hot conditions in Manhattan Beach, about 85 degrees ambient temperature, but the sand temperature scorching over 100 degrees and certainly plaguing the team of Stein Metzger and Mike Lambert. There's blisters on the bottoms of their feet, threatening to lose toenails. It's certainly a job hazard out here. Neither one of them wearing sand socks. During timeouts, they will stand on wet towels to try and cool off the pads of their feet, and the staff does hose off during timeouts. For more, we go to Mike Dodd.
Well, Heather, I tell you, there's a lot of great leapers on the tour, but Todd Rogers in transition on sets just like that gets a little extra.
Oh, the block by Rogers, and the ball kicked up. Rogers and Dalhausser score. One of the most unusual plays you will ever see.
Watch right here. Metzger gets up off Lambert's shoulder, and the Metzger kick, and any part of your body is legal in volleyball. What an incredible block by Rogers, who almost never blocks, but has a very high percentage. He was saying it earlier this season. He almost never gets up there because Dalhausser is the one who does all the blocking.
That one, a late entry candidate for our Xbox 360 play of the match. Off the foot of Stein Metzger, who surfs and used to be a pole vaulter, but no renown as a soccer player. 12-10 now. Dalhausser over the top. Rogers has got it. Dalhausser. Now Metzger trying to save a point. He's got it. Oh, big opportunity missed.
Boy, that was huge. Rogers with a great dig, but Dalhausser, instead of setting Rogers, giving him a chance to put it away using the third contact, tried to shoot it over. Metzger was ready. Saved the point. Kept them only down by 1. Don't want to be down by 3 points near the end of this 15-point game.
12-11 now. Rogers has received 39 serves. Dalhausser just 10. As Heather Cox said, and Karch has reiterated, do you throw a bone to Dalhausser here? I don't know. Better have a big muzzle if you do. Here it comes. They got Lambert up there. Here comes Dalhauser. Beach volleyball looks great in high definition, doesn't it? And of course, Sony Bravia, one of the sponsors here on the AVP Tour. HD TV. Watching widescreen today if you're at home. Glad you're with us on NBC. Rogers and Dalhauser now just 2 points away from victory. Dalhauser got a bad toss. Metzger. Rogers has got it. Chance to go to 14. Rogers. Not yet. Lambert with a prayer shot. Oh, he is roofed! Todd Rogers! The little big man.
2 for 2 on blocking attempts this game. They now have match point. The thing about little blockers is that they can slip out of your field of vision, and he gets right back in there. Lambert didn't even see him at the net.
14-11, Dalhauser and Rogers. Rogers, who grew up idolizing Karch Karai in Santa Barbara, blocking like a young Karch Karai, springing out of the sand.
Blocking more like a young Phil Dalhauser on that play. He has more blocks than Dalhauser does this match.
14-11, Dalhauser and Rogers will have 3 championship points. Crowd is up here at Manhattan Beach. Dalhauser